What's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy Rio Robinson, back with the latest and greatest on the Rambling with Rio YouTube channel, where we ramble about the Washington Commanders. It is Battle of the Beltway week. We just concluded a very chippy and competitive week of joint practices with the Baltimore Ravens, so I had to bring in my lead Ravens correspondent, my guy Jake Moskowski. How you doing tonight, man?
Doing good, doing good. Not feeling as chippy as our teams were this past practice.
Oh man, they're going at it, man. Tell your guy Tylan Wallace to relax, man. What's going on with him?
Yeah, I think actually a guy Sua Cravens, my former USC guy, I think sums up joint practices nicely, which is it's hot, it's summertime, everyone's in camp. They've been away from their families, they've been away from their girlfriends, their wives, and I think putting two teams together is just asking for chippiness to happen.
Oh man, you're a sick man for bringing up Sua Cravens on a Washington channel, man. Sua Cravens. Oh my God, what a name! This guy did not care about football at all once he got to the NFL. Like, this dude wanted no part of practice, the games, none of it. But it's Washington versus Baltimore week. What are your thoughts going into the 2023 season surrounding the Ravens? Y'all got the deal done with Lamar. Y'all got that drama out of the way. You add OBJ, who looks back to rare form, Zay Flowers, Nelson Aguilar. Does Lamar finally have everything he needs for you guys to take that next step and contend for a title?
Yeah, I think it's weird. Traditionally, I go into the season feeling pretty confident about the defense and kind of up in the air about the offense. And this season, it's almost the reverse. You've got Todd Monken as the new offensive coordinator. That should help spread things out through the air. Like you mentioned, all of a sudden, revamped wide receiver core. At one point last season, we were starting Duvernay and Demarcus Robinson as our top two wideouts. Now, all of a sudden, you've got Odell Beckham Jr., you've got Zay Flowers, you've got hopefully a healthy Rashad Bateman, you've got Aguilar. Duvernay is still there, but now is a wide receiver 5 instead of a wide receiver 2. Andrews is still there. You got to imagine that the offense takes off. I'm thinking career high numbers for Lamar across the board. Perhaps even in the passing touchdown category, even though he did throw for 36 the year that he won MVP. The question for me is, what is that defense going to look like? You let a guy like Marcus Peters go during free agency. He signed elsewhere. Now the cornerback room's a little banged up. Marlon Humphrey just got surgery. You might start the year with Ronald Darby and Rock Ya-Sin as your two starting cornerbacks. Not an ideal situation.
Not ideal.
And as far as the pass rush goes, Justin Houston, gone. Jason Pierre-Paul, gone. Calais Campbell, gone. You're kind of relying on guys like Tyus Bowser returning to form after his injury, and guys like David Ojabo and Odafe Owe breaking out finally. But that feels like a lot of risky pieces on defense. So I hope that Roquan Smith, Marcus Williams can just hold it down until reinforcements arrive.
Yeah, man, y'all got a new look squad this year, but Lamar has the weapons he needs on the offensive side of the ball. You guys gave him $260 million. He got his money, and he got his money still representing himself, kind of. That was a real dicey situation. Was there any threat of him actually leaving you guys?
I think fans like to think that there was a shot that he was going to leave, but I don't think that Eric DaCosta ever would have let that happen. They've constantly preached and talked about how he's been their guy. They drafted him. They're the only team that saw him potentially as an actual quarterback versus maybe a guy who gets moved around to a different position in the NFL. And yeah, I personally don't think there was ever a chance that he was going to leave. I think that his decision-making process might have split the fan base for a little, but I don't think that there's any fans now necessarily who are unhappy that Lamar Jackson is back in Baltimore.
Man, I love Lamar, man, and I'm tired of seeing him typecasted as a running back and hearing all these things. Like, there's cut-ups of just Lamar's passing highlights last year, and he missed like a fourth or more of the season, and you guys still finished the year 10-7. How many times do you have nightmares about that Sam Hubbard fumble recovery from the playoffs, man?
I mean, it's going to go up there as one of the most heartbreaking moments for me as a Ravens fan, and the Bengals have certainly provided a bunch of them. Tyler Boyd, AJ Green. I mean, the double Patriots 2014 Ravens playoff game where we blew not one but two 14-point leads.
Hell yeah.
I mean, that one hurts. It hurts more because it was Tyler Huntley. And you got to feel like if that was Lamar in that game, in that situation, the Ravens score on the goal line there. But I mean, it's a new year, it's a new season. Looking forward to seeing what the Ravens can bring.
Oh yeah, man. And you guys are a well-run organization. You guys are the brothers of the DMV, if you want to consider Baltimore part of the DMV, but of this tri-state area, we kind of share it. And you guys just have done things so right for so long, passing it from Ozzy to DeCosta. You guys draft well. Your facilities are nice. Your practice uniforms look good. I've envied the Ravens. I've never wanted to join you guys' fan base like a lot of the fake ass fans that left us blaming Snyder over the years. But like, how do you feel seeing Washington finally living in a sense of normalcy with our new ownership situation here and the good vibes coming out of here?
I think that the NFL is at its best when the Washington, whatever team name is going to be in the future, we'll stick with Commanders for now. When the team that plays football in Washington, when that team is successful, I think that the NFL is better served, particularly for that division, which is such a high profile division, with the other teams being New York, Philadelphia, and Dallas. The NFL is at its best when that division is a dogfight and all the teams. Honestly, it's not that dissimilar competitive level wise to what the AFC North has. So I think seeing the Washington Commanders succeed is going to be really good for the NFL. And I'm excited to see how this year turns out for them. Hopefully the long-suffering quarterback dilemma ends with Sam Howell.
Oh my God. And he looks good. He looks the part in every way. And he impressed a lot of people from the Ravens side of things, because most of this, I was like scrolling through you guys' media and you guys' fans, and for the people that were in attendance, and it was like, they were like, oh wow, Hal looks good. Like, Hal looks sharp. He looks the part. There's no quarterback competition here. There never was. It was always just a formality, because Ron always says there's a quarterback competition and there never is one. But based on what you know about Sam Howell for coming out of college, where do you think he should have been selected in the 2022 draft?
So I think it's an interesting case study in terms of seeing the success that he had the year before and then seeing the success that he had the year that he ended up getting drafted. People forget the team that he was on the year before was loaded with NFL talent. He had Javonte Williams and Michael Carter, two-headed monster at running back. He had De'Ami Brown. He had Daz Newsome. He had Josh Downs. Like, that team was loaded. That team had talent. And then all of a sudden, with the exception of Downs, everyone was gone to the NFL. And then his numbers fell off a little bit. But I was like, you have to look at the product of who he's playing with. And when he was playing with NFL caliber guys, which is what's going to happen now that he's in the NFL, he looked like a good quarterback. He looked like a quarterback who could have been a late first, early second round pick. So I think the Commanders, they did well. I think they got a really good player far later than I thought that he was going to be available. Like I said, I'm excited to see how he does this year.
Nothing about him looks like a fifth rounder. His demeanor, he cares about nothing but football. I always make a joke like Sam doesn't even style his hair or keep a normal haircut. Like, he has bedhead every day. He just wakes up, brushes his teeth, and comes to practice or comes to the game day field. He's all about ball. We don't have to worry about any ego things like we've had in the past with quarterbacks. He's all ball. He's accepted the challenge that Ron gave him, and he looks sharp, man. He looks the part. I got my fingers crossed. I don't want to knock on wood, but I think we got us one. But let's do a little before I do a little tail of the tape between the two teams. What's going on with Mark Andrews? Why are you out here body slamming fourth string cornerbacks in practice?
I think Andrews, and obviously I'm speaking from what I can tell, I think it's a combination of factors. I think that Andrews, for the first time, isn't used to being the guy from a pass catcher's perspective for Lamar Jackson. Lamar's got a plethora of other targets available on the field. He's throwing to Odell. He's throwing to Zay. He's got other guys. And all of a sudden, Andrews went from being a potential, I could catch 10 passes a game guy, to being a more traditionally utilized tight end. And I think that agitated him. I think training camp, joint practices, there's going to be chippiness, as I discussed. There's going to be fighting. And I think that he was pissed at himself. He dropped a couple balls. I saw he slammed his helmet and broke it. So I think he was just a combination of factors for him. But yeah, like you said, definitely a chippy player coming out of Oklahoma, and I think we saw a little bit of that fire during the practices this past week.
Yeah, man. Danny Johnson's hurt and he's gonna miss time now because of that body slam. He hurt his rotator cuff on the body slam. So
by the way, who is the player? I saw a player ran up. I thought he was going to confront Andrews, but he kind of just ran up and stood facing him. Didn't really do much. Who was that player?
are we talking about a linebacker or are we talking about a D lineman?
I think it was a linebacker. I think it was.
You're talking about Cody Barton. Cody Barton
just ran up and kind of just stared at Andrews, and I was like, I thought they were going to throw hands.
It kind of bothered me because Payne was the one who approached him ready to fight. Like Payne told him to take his helmet off and everything, but Cody Barton was one of the first people up there and wanted no smoke. That kind of bothered me because guys like Cam Curl ran like a 4-3 to get to the fight. They were ready to just jump in and go. Cody Barton runs up to Mark Andrews and says, you know what, I'm good, man. Like, I'm good. I don't want no parts of this. Cody Barton, get in the fight, man. It's practice. These guys plan to fight each other. They're like, yo, we're practicing. We hate being out here. It's hot. We're fighting them because they're not our teammates. Like, this was going to happen.
Exactly.
It's good for the league, man. I wish we were on Hard Knocks, but fingers crossed, we're one of the 3 teams that are most likely going to be selected for the in-season version. It's between us, the Bears, and the Saints, I believe. So it should be us, right? Like, we have a new ownership. We have a new quarterback. We got Eric Bieniemy. How are we not must-see TV for this year?
Yeah, personally, do I really want to see Derek Carr in New Orleans during an in-season Hard Knocks? Not particularly. The Bears could be interesting. Justin Fields, obviously, stylistically similar, at least on the ground game, to a Lamar Jackson. They've got a new wide receiver. They've got a new core. But personally, I'd rather see Washington. I think Howell's story is more interesting. He's a fresh face. He's a new guy. No one really knows what they're going to get from him. You've got a revamped offense. You've got a defense that's feisty and chippy and ready to go. Give me the Washington Commanders on Hard Knocks.
Oh my God, I've wanted it my whole life, man. I wish Hal would do the quarterback Netflix show, but I mean, it's his first year and it's his second offense in 2 years, so I could get why they wouldn't even want any parts of that. But preseason game, Monday Night Football, nationally televised for the whole world to see at FedEx Field. You're probably going to see a regular season-esque atmosphere because it's been one long parade since Dan sold the team to Josh Harris, and we've been showing up to rallies and training camp practice like it's week 1, and we're about to see probably our first sellout in a long time, week 1, when the Cardinals come to town. So the vibes are different around here. Are you guys actually going to try to keep that streak going, man? And why does this streak exist? 24 games in a row? What are y'all doing over there, man?
So the crazy thing is, if you look statistically, at least over the past couple of years, people joke and say, oh, well, the Ravens are playing more starters than any other team. And that's actually not true. They're kind of a middle of the pack team in terms of starters playing actual minutes in the preseason. And if you look at the depth of the preseason, I mean, when this streak started, Lamar Jackson was about to start his freshman year at Louisville. Like, it's not like the Ravens have had some massive continuity of players year in, year out in the preseason we're playing. It's kind of a little bit of luck. I think Harbaugh cares about winning. Don't we all? We'd rather win than lose, that's for sure. But my issue with the streak now is it's kind of become a distraction. People are talking, oh, well, why doesn't it translate to regular season success? Mm-hmm. They're not playing any starters for the most part. Oh, well, why doesn't it translate to postseason success? The same argument can be made. For me, I like the streak because it means that the Ravens are doing what they have historically been very good at, which is they're finding particularly undrafted free agents and they're signing them, and those guys are finding success. And the Ravens are either trading those guys to another team or letting them fill the spots in the roster wherever needed. Obviously, the Ravens have a pretty long track record. Guys like Gus Edwards, Tyler Huntley, Justin Tucker, guys who are undrafted, Patrick McCarry, undrafted free agents who came in and filled and played significant roles for the Ravens. But yeah, I think the streak's become personally a little bit of a distraction, and it wouldn't surprise me if the Washington Commanders, packed crowd, big game, regular season atmosphere came out and ended the streak.
Oh, man, I would love it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and parade, but I'm not going to lie. I want this one just like I wanted last week. I want it all. Now that I want everything for Josh Harris, man. I'm just so happy for the new stuff that comes here. But are you guys playing any starters? Are we going to see Lamar Jackson and company on Monday?
No shot. I'd be surprised, honestly, at the rate of last week. I'd be surprised if we saw extended series from Tyler Huntley. I think he's locked in as the QB2 in Baltimore. He doesn't really have much to prove. So I think we might see a heavy dose of Josh Johnson and Anthony Brown, which is just absolutely depressing for me as a Ravens fan. I think we're going to see Keaton Mitchell at running back a lot for wide receiver.
I love
Maybe,
Keaton Mitchell, man. I wanted him in the draft. I love that guy.
yeah. I think maybe we'll see maybe a series from Zay Flowers just to continue to see if they can acclimate him a little bit. But I would be very surprised, particularly on offense, if we saw starters play more than maybe a few snaps here and there.
Oh man, because I know you're going to definitely see our starting offense. Honestly, I let our defense just relax and kick back until the season starts. But I think we're going to see a half of Sam Howell and company, and we know our offensive line really needs it. Did you know anybody personally that was up there for the joint practices the last couple of days?
I did not. For the funny, I would say this: for the first time in a while, Baltimore fans actually have another sport to root for this late in the season, which is the Baltimore Orioles are actually good for the first time in 8 years. And so fans who traditionally at this point of the year are start to really hone into preseason football, they can actually just go to Camden Yards and watch the Orioles play. So I think for the first time, like I said, for the first time in a while, Ravens fans find themselves with a conflict on the baseball field.
Oh man, the O's are good. Must be nice. I mean, the Nats are surprisingly better than expected. They're not great, but they're like, I think like 8 games back from the wild card somehow while in a rebuild. We've let every superstar that's ever come to Washington leave. So, but we're starting anew. But nice to know that you have your baseball team's doing well over there to complement your football team. But what would be a disappointment out of the 2023 Ravens?
I think the most disappointing thing would be another season like we've seen from Lamar, a season where he's injury prone. He misses, let's say, 4 or 5 games. His numbers don't take a market improvement. He doesn't really return to the MVP caliber Lamar that we saw a few seasons ago. And I think just injuries for me, it's not necessarily like I would love to see Zay Flowers succeed. I'd love to see him put up big numbers in our offense, but another season that would be wrecked from injuries. Rashad Bateman getting injured again, Lamar getting injured again, the defense taking a step back, Marcus Williams and Marlon Humphrey. For me, staying healthy is the number one priority. If the Baltimore Ravens stay healthy, at the very worst, they should be a very dangerous wild card team that can contend for the division.
What is your NFL comp for Zay Flowers, and what does his camp, summer and spring look like for as a rookie?
It's interesting. I mean, he's a littler guy. I think initially people really wanted to compare him to a Marquise Brown, but I think they're very different kinds of players. Brown was a burner. I think Zay's probably got better shiftiness, better stop-start speed versus straight line speed that you see from Hollywood. And I think Zay is willing to throw his body around the line a little bit more. I don't think that Hollywood Brown wanted contact. I think he shied away from it, actually. And as we saw in the last preseason game, Zay's not afraid to throw blocks. He's not afraid to get physical. And so for me, it's tough. Do you look at a guy build-wise and you see, okay, a lighter version of a Tyreek Hill, or do you see a smaller version of a Deshaun Jackson? I personally, I'm not going to lie. I don't know who the perfect comp for Zay Flowers is, but I know that he's going to be an interesting weapon for the Baltimore Ravens offense.
What's the linebacker room after Roquan Smith looking like? You guys took Trenton Simpson, I believe, in the 2nd round. Patrick Queen, I would say, like, how is his development coming along?
I think him not having to be the guy as a middle linebacker helped unlock really the best version of Patrick Queen. I think he had a lot of pressure on him to succeed. He was a 1st-round pick in a loaded draft class, and he's coming in. He has to be the answer. And he was good, not great, inconsistent. And then all of a sudden you trade for a guy like Roquan Smith, who's a stud, immediate top 5, if not top 3 inside linebacker in football, and allows Patrick Queen to do a little bit more what he does best, which is range a little bit, rush the passer, accumulate sacks as an inside backer. And then, I think if Patrick Queen plays to his strengths and could be the guy that we saw in the second half of last season, I think the Ravens could very easily claim to have a top 3 middle linebacker core in football. And I think, a guy like Trenton Simpson, who's a rangy, toolsy, super athletic middle linebacker out of Clemson, I think could be the perfect complement to come in, and perhaps maybe they're preparing him for next season when there's a possibility, a pretty good possibility, that Patrick Queen doesn't get re-signed because they're not going to pay top 10 linebacker money to 2 inside linebackers.
How do you guys stack up with the rest of the teams in your division? Because it looks like a 4-team race. It looks like if Pickett takes that next step, coming off a 9-win season as a rookie, going through those rookie growing pains, Deshaun Watson, he's probably going to be closer to the Houston Deshaun Watson than what we saw in those 6 games where he was kind of a shell of himself for a bit. And the Bengals are the Bengals, a game away from the Super Bowl once again. How do you guys stack up with the rest of your division?
I think the division is going to be a dogfight. I think it really is. We know what we're facing when it comes to the Bengals. Joe Burrow, almost impossible to hate him. Star quarterback, probably could have been a commander.
Oh my God, I dream about that all the time.
He's got an electric wide receiver core. Irv Smith is now at tight end, I believe, for them. So the offense is going to be humming. Mixon's back. They've got talent everywhere. The offensive line should be much improved. I know what to expect when it comes to them. Now, biggest issue for them, they lost both their starting safeties. The defense that was better than expected has to replace Jesse Bates and Von Bell, and Daxton Hill, whose brother is a Baltimore Raven, Justice Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson Hill's a great player, first-round pick. He's got the pedigree. I'm sure the defensive coordinator is excited to use him. Played sparingly. Is going to have big shoes to fill, so we'll see for the Bengals. For the Browns, I think they're hoping to just fly under the radar and hope that Deshaun Watson returns to form. Now, I'm not going to support Deshaun Watson. There's lots of reasons for that. Number one is that he's on the Cleveland Browns. But the wide receiver core is improved. They brought in Amari Cooper. They traded for Elijah Moore. Donovan Peoples-Jones is still there. And I think it goes without saying, Nick Chubb is one of the best 3 running backs in football. Dude's a model of consistency.
Monster.
I think the Browns are going to be a good team. They improved defensively. They added Zadarius Smith to rush across from Myles Garrett. That's going to cause problems defensively. And then I look at the Steelers. It's crazy. On paper, could the Steelers be the least talented team in the AFC North? Maybe. Yep. But if Kenny Pickett improves, they got Najee Harris. They got George Pickens, who looks like
Pickens is an animal
at wide receiver.
Animal
we have seen since Antonio Brown. They've got Deontay Johnson. They've got the talent. Pat Freiermuth's probably a top 8 tight end, top 10 tight end. So it's going to be a dogfight. The division is going to be a battle, but that's what makes the AFC North such exciting football, is that the teams all respect each other, but they despise each other when it comes to playing. And it's always a dogfight. It's a war in the trenches. Guys are getting blown up on the field. Like that's the kind of football that I think fans of those respective teams, they love to see. We want to see the hard hits. We want to see the broken bones. We want to see traditional ground and pound smash mouth football.
Hell yeah. Like when y'all play the Steelers, it's absolute slobber knocker football, man. It's some of the best stuff you can watch, but better division. AFC North, NFC East.
Oh, hey, come on. AFC North. And I would say it because of this. I would say the worst team in the AFC North is probably going to be better than the worst team in the NFC East. And I don't think a Washington fan will ever give the Philadelphia Eagles props. I think in a vacuum, you probably like the Cincinnati Bengals over the Philadelphia Eagles. So it leaves some middle ground. Do you like?
I think the Eagles have the best roster in the league right now. And
really?
I hate their fans. I hate them. That roster is so good. Like they literally had 70 sacks last year and had Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter. Like what?
Yep. And they lost Javon Hargrave, I believe. I think he went to the Niners. I saw Hassan Reddick just had surgery on his thumb, I believe. So maybe they're a little bit banged up. I think the interesting thing when it comes, I will say, and I won't talk too much about the Eagles, is the real debate for me is Devonta Smith the best wide receiver 2 in football? You look at Jalen Waddle, you look at T. Higgins, he's really good. And I think there's all the talk about A.J. Brown, but I think Devonta Smith could put up bigger numbers this year.
Yep. And best number 2 in football. I think our guy's gonna have a good case at some point. Jahan Dotson. He is somebody that people really need to watch out. I think we got 2 number ones. Jahan is having an amazing offseason. He's put on a good amount of muscle. He has stoutness to him. He doesn't have such a slight stature anymore. His route running, his swagger, he's talking. His swag is different this year. Our preseason game, he put. I know you seen that kind of like double move he put on the safety, and then he goes to the sideline. The sideline interview, he said, first of all, they lined up with a safety over me. Don't ever put a safety over me. Like, come on, man, that's disrespectful, man. I love to hear him talking that talk. When you see the Washington offense, the line really is the only question. Brian Robinson Jr. fully healthy, not coming off of being shot like last year where he had to get his legs out from under him months into the season. Gibson being used more as the third down utility back guy, and a receiving core that Diami's having a good camp to go with Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin. How good can Washington's offense be in 2023?
I think it all is going to start and end with Sam Howell. If Sam Howell can be even remotely close to the guy, I think the offense is going to take a big step forward. Like you said, a really rock solid top 4 wide receiver group. Really no weaknesses there. I think the run game should be better. I think Brian Robinson's going to be really good. I don't know about great, but a really good player. Antonio Gibson, I believe, is in a contract year, should be used as a pass-catching threat more out of the backfield. We know Sam Howell's comfortable with that from UNC with Javonte Williams and Michael Carter. So I think the offense could be really good. I think tight end is probably – I don't know necessarily as much about the offensive line. I think tight end's probably the bigger question mark if you look at the skill position players for them. But the question is, do they really need a star tight end? They've got 4 really good wide receivers, in my opinion, one genuinely great one in Terry McLaurin. They've got a solid run game. They've got a good offense. They got EB there. That could make a really big difference. I don't think people are really understanding. We're going to see how creative Eric Bieniemy truly is without a Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. If he schemes stuff really well and Sam Howell takes a step forward, that offense could be flat out dangerous.
And it looks so different than Scott Turner. And I've been to a few practices and I've been paying attention every day. Some of the stuff this guy is drawing up, he definitely had an influence over what they were calling in Kansas City. Because I've seen, first of all, I don't think in my entire life we've ever ran a shovel pass before. And the designs were running shovel passes. I see Terry McLaurin lined up in the backfield. I swear, if we pull out the Ring Around the Rosie play that the Chiefs did versus the Ravens, I might take my shirt off in the stadium, bro. Like EB, it's big. It's easy for people to forget that he's the offensive coordinator here because a lot of people don't understand why he would take a job here. This is his shot to prove he's worth being someone's head coach, his guy, after going on countless interviews and not getting the job. If the offense flourishes here, he not only will be a lead candidate for a job next year, I imagine he would have a shoe-in to get this job because a lot of people don't want to hear this. I think no matter how the season plays out, new ownership mutually parts ways with Ron at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think that's pretty spot on, actually. I think that new ownership is going to want to splash. I think that if the season is not good, let's say the defense takes a step backward and the offense is good, I think EB is a shoo-in. Even if the team is good, unless they really do damage in the postseason, I can't see Riverboat Ron sticking around. But I could definitely see, okay, well, the offense took a step forward. EB's the guy. Sam likes him. Let's keep this going. Let's promote internally. Let's get EB the head coaching position that every team and every fan knows that he probably deserves already. And let's go from there.
Oh yeah, man. I'm ready for 2023. I'm ready to see EB and Sam, man. It's all new vibes here. So what do you expect to see Monday night? It's just a preseason game, even though you guys are the preseason juggernaut of all juggernauts. What do you expect Monday to look like?
I think it'll be interesting. I would say this. I think you said that you thought that they might run Sam Howell and the offense, starting offense, regardless of personnel coming in and out for probably a half of football. I think the Ravens' biggest question is, can they get these cornerbacks up to speed? Can they get guys who don't have a ton of reps the past year? Can they really get them tested? And so I'm kind of hoping that you're right. I'm hoping that Sam Howell plays as much as possible. And I hope that guys like Ronald Darby, who just signed, and Kevin Seymour, Brandon Stevens, guys get reps. They need reps. If Marlon Humphrey is going to miss games, the Baltimore Ravens need corners who have seen some level of game action before the regular season begins. As far as what I think the result is going to be, I think it's up in the air. It wouldn't surprise me if the Washington Commanders came out and beat the Baltimore Ravens, especially as the Ravens continue to rest more and more guys who are going to play significant snaps in the regular season. But at the same time, the Ravens continue to just find ways to win. I really thought that they were going to lose to the Eagles last week, and then the Eagles went for two, which just speaks to the preseason.
Yeah,
the Eagles went for two. They didn't get it, and then all of a sudden, the Ravens looked like they were going to win again. And so we'll see if that kind of just almost abject luck just plays into the equation at all. But I think that the Commanders are going to come into this game with a chip on their shoulders after that chippy practice, and they're really going to try to end this preseason streak for the Ravens.
Oh yeah, man! I really like, honestly, the result of the game. I just want to see Sam look sharp, because I imagine in the coming days, Ron is going to finally come out and say Sam's the starter, even though we already know, because he's got 98.9% of the starting reps the entire off season. But I just want to see the offense put together some drives. I really don't need to see anything about the defense. But speaking on a more around the league perspective, what teams do you have your eyes on this year? What team is a sneaky contender that nobody's talking about?
Sneaky contender that nobody's talking about. Okay, let's okay, so I would say if everything goes according to plan, the Los Angeles Chargers should be good, because Justin Herbert's an insanely talented quarterback. And all of a sudden, if their wide receiver core stays healthy, you're talking about Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Quentin Johnston all in the same wide receiver room, a top 3 running back in Austin Eckler. I think that the Chargers, now the tough thing is they also play brutally tough division. I don't think the Raiders are going to be that good. I think you can count the Raiders out. And then you look at the Broncos. Are they going to improve dramatically with Sean Payton, or is Russell Wilson going to take another step back? I think that's more likely the situation. So I'm looking at the Chargers. The Jets are a really interesting case study. If Aaron Rodgers is MVP caliber Aaron Rodgers, they added Dalvin Cook. The offense was the only question last year. The defense is loaded with talent. The Jets could surprise people. And then on the NFC side, I don't think this is necessarily a surprise pick, but the 49ers are going to be good. I think that they were a healthy quarterback away from probably playing in the Super Bowl last season. Apparently, there were rumors that if they had beaten the Eagles in that game, that they were going to call Phillip Rivers out of retirement, which is kind of crazy to think about, that Phillip Rivers could have potentially gotten a ring that way, which Chargers fans would have loved, seeing Phillip Rivers beat the Chiefs. But I think the team that I'm most interested in seeing is the Packers. Is Jordan Love good? Can Jordan Love be the guy? Can he do for Green Bay what Aaron Rodgers did after Brett Favre left? Because if Jordan Love is talented, they have 2 stud running backs. They have a young and ascending wide receiver core headed by Christian Watson. They drafted 2 or 3 tight ends in this draft this year. The defense has the pieces. So I think a lot of people would say, oh, look at the Lions. Look at the Vikings. If Jordan Love is good, the Packers are going to be good, and they're going to surprise people.
The Packers, if Jordan Love is good, it makes me despise and envy that franchise even more, because they've already went like 30 straight years without needing a quarterback. Imagine going from Hall of Fame quarterback to Hall of Fame quarterback to really good quarterback back to back to back. I've seen 39 starting quarterbacks in the last 20 years, and the Packers have watched 2 guys quarterback their team. So 4 years into the game, he's coming in with the same type of experience Rodgers did when he came in. So He doesn't even get the rookie wall window that guys like my guy Howell get. He has to be good, like right away, right?
Yeah, if he's not good right away, the Packers will be in prime position to draft another quarterback in what is almost assuredly going to be one of the most loaded quarterback draft classes in recent memory. I can, off the top of my head, think of 4 guys in the Pac 12 alone, which might not exist next year, who could be first round picks. So I think if Jordan Love isn't good, I think that they're going to look to replace him almost immediately.
What kind of we know nothing about Jordan Love 4 years into a career. Like, I'm not even like, who is even the comp for Jordan Love? A big, tall, long, Paul's athletic quarterback with a strong arm. Who's the comp for Jordan Love?
A slightly better passing, worse running Malik Willis, maybe. Like, I don't know. I mean, the guy just hasn't thrown that many passes. I think I saw some stat that across his entire career, NFL, college, high school, dude's thrown like 600 total passes. I mean, that's crazy. He probably threw fewer passes in his entire career than Kirk Cousins or Geno Smith threw last season. So, I mean, he's kind of an enigma. No one really knows what Jordan Love is going to be. Is he going to come out and is he going to shock people? Is he going to come out and be an okay player? I remember being shocked that they drafted him in the first place. So I'm really curious to see, like, if he comes out and he doesn't have to be a star, but if he comes out and he's a really serviceable starter, Packers should be good.
They should be. They should be. And that division, now that Rodgers left, it's completely up for grabs. If the Vikings, Lions, and Bears, who all seem dramatically in different situations, improved, the Lions, how good are the Lions going to be? And I think Ben Johnson's going to be the belle of the ball for coaching hires next year. And I think we could be in line for the Ben Johnson sweepstakes because that man can scheme up some off. People forget the most random stat of 2022. How the hell did Jamal Williams have 1,000 yards and 17 touchdowns? He won somebody a fantasy league last year.
Jamal Williams, I believe, last season scored touchdowns from the 1 yard line on 9 different occasions.
Oh my God.
I think his longest rushing touchdown was like 20 yards. He scored from like 5 yards out on like 12 or 13 of those 17 tutties. The Lions are interesting. Jared Goff looks like what you expect from Jared Goff.
Yep.
The run game, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs are their 2 running backs now, could be dangerous combination-wise right there. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is one of the most overlooked wide receivers. Obviously, I'm a USC homer. I'm going to respect my guy. But I think Amon-Ra is going to be good. I think Sam Laporta is going to be yet another Iowa tight end that comes out and is not going to be a star because you don't really see star tight ends as rookie, but he could be a 400 or a 500-yard receiving tight end as a rookie for sure. I mean, offensive line is good. Defense, I think they have to be thanking their lucky stars that the Jacksonville Jaguars took Travon Walker, number 1 overall, over Aiden Hutchinson, who looks like a bona fide star for them.
Yeah,
so I think the defense is going to be good. I think the offense is good. The X factor for me is, what does Jameson Williams look like when he gets back from his gambling suspension? Because if Jameson Williams can add some field stretching to that, all of a sudden that wide receiver core is nasty.
He needs to get his hands right and stop playing parlays. He dropped a wide open touchdown versus the Eagles. I mean, not the Eagles. Who they playing preseason last week? Was it the Giants? The Giants. Jameson Williams dropped a go ball right at the end zone, dropped it right out of his hand. Yo, these gambling suspensions are crazy. And it all just seems so convoluted and weird because the league is partnering with all the sports gambling things, ESPN partnering. Like, it's so odd, but also as an NFL player, why are you playing parlays on your team's facility? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think there's going to have to be a discussion in the coming years over what the gambling regulations are for all sports. I think it should be pretty easy and go without saying that if you play a sport, you can't gamble on that sport. I think that's pretty basic. I don't know why players have problems with it. When I saw that Calvin Ridley got suspended for a full year for placing like a $1,500 bet, my immediate question is, dude, you make millions of dollars a year. Why don't you just bet with your friends for fun? Like, don't even go on a site. Don't even just like have a conversation back and forth over. Like, there's no reason for you to bet $1,500. Now, do I think that the rules potentially get a little weird when you look at athletes gambling on other sports that they have no potential inside information on? Sure, but at the end of the day, you're making millions of dollars to play football, which is hard. It's a job. I'm not denigrating that at all, but I feel like you can live without gambling on sports, particularly knowing that the league has a rule explicitly stating that you can't do that.
Yep. You know, you guys don't work at Walmart. You don't work at Target. You play for the National Football League, one of 32 franchises in the entire world. Don't place a parlay on a site where you have to put your name in it. Literally, you have friends who you can cash app and they can play the parlay for you. Like, is it that hard?
Yeah, the whole situation, obviously, Jameson Williams, and I don't buy the excuses. I don't buy I didn't know. I'm pretty sure in Rookie Symposium, that's one of the first things they discuss is the gambling regulations, what you can and can't do. And so when players come out, I didn't know. I'm like, no, you knew. You just either didn't care enough or you didn't think that you were going to get caught. And so it's just, to me, it's just more an amusing situation than anything else. End of the day, you're playing the sport. You're making millions to do it. You have a chance to be a star. Don't screw it up by gambling $10 on a parlay that ultimately it doesn't matter whether or not you win or lose.
All right, I got a couple quick little rapid fire predictions, some bold predictions, some hot takes for this game Monday and for the season, starting with the preseason game on Monday. Give me one bold prediction that you think is going to happen on Monday.
I don't know if it's necessarily the boldest prediction, but I think the Ravens are going to continue to line Justin Tucker up there, and I think he's going to hit another absurd field goal that has people everywhere being like, yes, Justin Tucker is the greatest kicker in the NFL, and we all know this. He kicked a 60-yarder last week. Justin Tucker can do no wrong. I don't think anybody hates him. So I think that there's a good chance you see them throw him out there. It's the end of a quarter or a half, and he nails, let's say, a 62-yard field goal.
Phenomenal guy. I guess I'll say my bold take. I think our starters play the half. So Sam Howell, 2 touchdowns in the first half on Monday because it's kind of his coming out party. They're gonna probably name him starter either right before or right after that game. So it's the world's first glimpse of EB's, Sam Howell's Washington, Josh Harris's Washington Commanders. So we can't just treat this like a normal preseason game. This matters a little bit more to us. We got to look the part, especially now that Ron got the whole world looking at EB because some players were concerned about his intensity in practice.
Well, we saw how concerned those players were when the joint practices ratcheted up a little bit.
Hell yeah. Oh, my man. Those fights, I live to see them fights, but I love to see little 140-pound, 6-ounce Emmanuel Forbes out there throwing punches at dudes. He's such a dog, man. I love that he's going to make me hate watching my reaction to seeing him get drafted here because I was pissed because I wanted Christian Gonzalez, and he's making me eat my words so much. I'm glad. My thing is, whoever we do draft, I'm going to root for him after we pick him. But in the immediate, glimpses of seeing us not pick Christian Gonzalez, I was pissed. I was so mad.
I'm with you. I think my draft reaction to Zay Flowers and not Nolan Smith was not great. But at the end of the day, you got to you have a reaction. You have a player in mind that you want at that time. And then you learn about the other guy. You see him in practices. You see him in preseason games, and all of a sudden you realize, hey, look, maybe this guy's not so bad. Maybe he's even a star. And on the flip side, sometimes you draft a guy and you're like, yes, this is the guy that I wanted, and he turns out to be Brashad Perriman. So
hey, something's got to keep y'all human, man. God gave LeBron no hairline and no free throw ability. The Ravens are not allowed to draft receivers, man. That's what keeps y'all amongst the mere mortals, man.
Fingers crossed that Zay Flowers finally breaks the trend.
Hey, I think he might, man. He looks the part. Who is your MVP of the 2023 NFL season?
Yeah. For my team or in general?
No, for the NFL. Who's going to win league MVP this year?
I mean, it's tough to get bet against Mahomes at this point. The dude
Yeah,
just looks insane.
he's out of this world.
It's obviously it's tough. He's such a star player. He's racked up enough accolades that he could probably retire after the season and he'd be a shoe-in for the Hall of Fame. 2 Super Bowls, two regular season MVPs, 2 Super Bowl MVPs. Guys, just he's accumulating it all.
Alien.
And I think that their wide receiver core should be better. I mean, Sky Moore hopefully takes a step forward. Travis Kelce remains one of the best tight ends ever. They added Rashee Rice, who I think is going to be a jump ball menace for that offense. So, yeah, for me, it's tough to bet against Mahomes. The only way – it's become a quarterback award realistically at this point. The only way a non-quarterback takes the cake is if a guy like Justin Jefferson hits 2,000 yards. If a receiver hits 2,000 receiving yards, I think that receiver will give votes.
Oh, man, Justin Jefferson could be the dark horse in that conversation. I think for the MVP conversation, I'm going to go a little bit outside of the box. I think Rodgers wins it in the Jets, man. I think Broadway Rodgers, the dude is in shape. He got a tan. He actually likes his teammates. He's comfortable. He looks like he actually likes showing up to work now, man. The immunized or unimmunized Aaron Rodgers. That's my pick for NFL MVP. What do you think about the Jets? And have you been watching Hard Knocks so far?
I've been watching some of Hard Knocks, and I agree. I think Rodgers looks about as happy as I can remember him being in the past decade. And they're going to be good. I mean, Dalvin Cook signing there, I already thought they had a good run game between Breece Hall and Michael Carter. Adding Dalvin Cook to the equation just makes the run. I mean, they have 3 starting caliber running backs. And then you have Garrett Wilson, and you've got Alan Lazard. You've got good tight ends. I mean, you've got guys who are there who are going to be in a position to succeed. Garrett Wilson could put up numbers that we saw from A.J. Brown last year in Philly because all of a sudden Rodgers is his guy. And it's almost impossible, even in the worst case situation, to imagine that Aaron Rodgers goes down to what the level of the quarterbacks the Jets had last season. So I think the Jets could be good. I mean, that division could be really good. Like the Jets are going to be better. The Dolphins, if Tua's brain stays intact, are going to be really good.
Prayers for my guy. I love Tua, man.
The Buffalo Bills have Josh Allen, who, by the way, could totally win an MVP this season. He's very, very good, very dangerous player, both passing and rushing. So, I mean, this could be the year that we see more parity because finally teams that were missing one piece here and there got what they needed to push it forward. The Jets finally got a quarterback. If you're a Commanders fan, you're thinking the Commanders finally got a quarterback. I mean, if you're a Cowboys fan, you say this is our year every year, and it's never going to be not for a while anymore. So it's tough for you guys. But Kenny Pickett takes a step forward. Deshaun Watson goes back to being in form. The 49ers hope that one of their 4 quarterbacks stays healthy for long enough to make it through a playoff game. I mean, you got pieces everywhere. And then you got whatever the AFC South is, and we'll see how that plays out. But, yeah, I mean, I think this could be a really exciting NFL season.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm so excited. And 2 more, and then I can get you out of here for the night. What team that's spoken in prominence, a playoff team, if you will, takes a huge step back and misses the playoffs in 2023?
Okay, so I'm going to say the New York Giants because I don't think Daniel Jones is that good. I mean, I think he's a serviceable quarterback, and I think that the offense probably gets better with Darren Waller, but Waller's had problems. He's had injury concerns. He's really had 2 good seasons. And so I don't know if the Giants are as good as they were last season. As you said, the Eagles might be the most well-rounded roster. The Commanders are going to be better. As much as I shit on the Cowboys, they should be better. Brandon Cooks is a better wide receiver too. So, I mean, are the Giants going to be a playoff contender? It wouldn't surprise me if the Giants finish as the worst team in the NFC East.
Oh man, that's music to my ears. And even though I shouldn't have much negative to say about Daniel Jones because he's 5-1-1 versus my football team, they're just $40 million for Daniel Jones just seems like malfeasance to me. And we should have swept them last year with Taylor Heineke at quarterback. I think we improved dramatically at OC and quarterback. So I want to sweep them this year. They're like, I have to. I really do think the Giants finished last in the NFC East this year. And I like that answer to that question. And to finish it off, um, what is your record prediction for the 2023 Ravens and who wins the Super Bowl this year?
Health permitting, I think the Ravens are at worst a 10-7 team that probably contends for a wild card spot.
Must be
If
nice.
everything goes in their favor, if Lamar Jackson plays a full season and he's healthy, if Marlon Humphreys comes back and he's a star corner and he's a lockdown guy again, and if Odell Beckham Jr. is Giants quality Odell Beckham Jr., I think the
Man,
Ravens could be a 14-3 team. I think they could be really, really good. I think they can cause a lot of problems offensively and defensively. I think that Todd Monken could make a really big difference. For a Super Bowl prediction for me, I mean, like I said, it's tough to bet against the Chiefs at this point. They're starting to feel like when the Patriots had Brady, and you're like, well, the team's not that good, but he is a singularly transcendent player. And that's how I feel about Patrick Mahomes. So until someone knocks him off his pedestal again, I think I'm going to have to roll with the Chiefs as the Super Bowl champions.
yep, I'm rolling with the Chiefs too. I'm picking the Chiefs to repeat this year, and the legacy of Mahomes just grows and grows. I just don't see anybody beating that team. It doesn't matter how much you get down on them until that final whistle is called. Mahomes is in the game, and I do believe y'all selling is crazy if Lamar and company stays healthy as well. And I'm hoping to see I haven't seen an 11-win season yet in my Washington fan life. The last time they did it was my birth year in '91 when they won the Super Bowl at 14-2. But hey, maybe one day me and you are doing a Battle of the Beltway Super Bowl stream. Could you imagine that
That
shit?
stream would go so hard. First of all, can you imagine celebration wise what would be happening in the DMV area if that Super Bowl happened? Holy cow, what a battle. And I think Mark Andrews would get a little chippy, and I think Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne would get a little chippy. But I would love to see a Beltway Bowl, is what we would call it.
Be like a goddamn civil war amongst fans. My God, Baltimore versus DC.
I like it. I like it. The Civil War is what we would call the bowl.
Hell yeah. I would make the thumbnail. I would pretty much put them as Iron Man and Captain America from Captain America Civil War. That would be the greatest experience, and that would probably be the most lit stream ever. But as always, when it's Ravens week, thank you for coming on and blessing the show with your presence. You can let people know where to follow you. And if you got anything to plug, here's your moment, man.
Yeah, so happy to check out my stuff. I'm at the real Jake Moz on Twitter. And as far as stuff that I'm doing some content writing for Huddle Tech, which is another sports betting company based overseas. They've got some really great stuff. I've got some really great content I'm putting out with them, all targeting data-backed analysis for both MLB, college football, NFL stuff. Be sure to check out my weekly articles there. They're called Jake's Takes. You can find them on Twitter. You can find them on LinkedIn. But really just happy to be here. Always happy to chop it up with you, Rio.
Hell yeah, man. It's always great, man. I appreciate you coming on, giving us the most knowledgeable Ravens fan I've ever encountered and interacted with in my life, man. Thanks for coming on the show. I'm gonna let you go now, and I'm gonna wrap up this stream on my own. I appreciate you. Until next time, man. Have a good one, boss.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Yes, sir. But to y'all in the chat, what's going on? Okay, so to address other night's stream, I wrapped up the stream impromptu because I respect those guys. I respect Mark Holmes, Kyle Pizzle. Philly wasn't present, but I respect those guys. And what they have is a actual personal real life beef that ended up flaming out and taking over the stream to the point where people were saying some very, very strong personal things. And I stopped it before any more was said because I don't want it to take it there. I'm not here for the viral moment for things like that. We're here for shits and giggles and to talk football. And I had to put a stop to that. I canceled the stream and I even took it off the channel because, you know, like I'm I don't need all that. Like we're not doing all that over here, but I understood Mark's frustration. I understand he was getting his shit off, man. We all need to get our shit off sometime. But to be perfectly honest, man, I had to get it. I had to stop that stream. Like that, it was not going where I wanted it to. And yeah, we're not doing that on this side, man. But that's all I got for right now. Appreciate everybody that stopped in, the 107 that's still in the chat. Make sure y'all smash that like button. If you're not subbed to the channel, sub the channel because we're on our way to 8,000 and then 10,000 subscribers. Oh, you're going to be there at the Bears game? It's the blackout game. I don't know if y'all seen it. The team put out the jersey schedule. The team put out the jersey schedule for the season, for the home games, and we're going blackout when the Bears come to town on October 5th. Whiteout to start the season when Arizona comes to town. We're wearing the burgundies the most at home 5 times this year. We're wearing white twice. And, you know, I can't wait to get out there September 10th in the all white when the Cardinals come to town and rep the squad. Appreciate everybody for pulling up to the stream tonight. It's always a lit time. Jake is great. What happened to Fred Smoot? Fred Smoot is good, man. He got hemmed up on some child support things. I know what he's going through on a personal level. I actually seen him up Georgetown on the waterfront during the weekend. He's still working for the team. He's in good hands and he's out living his life. He is unbothered. I promise you. I talked to Smoot up Georgetown Saturday, kicked it for a little bit. Smoot is good. Fred is fine, y'all. But yes, sir. You will be there tomorrow, Alex. I'll be there Saturday. Thank y'all for chiming in per usual. I will be live streaming on the Bleacher Report app on Monday following the Washington-Baltimore game. I've been invited as a content contributor to post Commanders live streams post-game with Bleacher Report. More to come on that on the channel. I'm going to give y'all the link. Everybody download the Bleacher Report app so we can go blow up Bleacher Report with Washington fans and HTTCs and W's in the chat. That's all I got for right now. Until next time, Commander Rio checking out. Love y'all. Stay blessed. Deuces.